All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning into another episode of When Coffee Meets Tea. I'm Rob Gerard.
I'm Denise Bertolovitz.
Hey, how you doing, Denise?
I'm doing well. How are you? See, I didn't correct myself that way.
I know. Yeah, no, I'm doing well too. Things are going good. It's the warm weather, it's the sunshine, it's kind of a little bit of everything.
It's such awesome therapy, the sun. And when I say that, like, I am not a sun worshiper. I do not recommend for people to lay on the beach, but hey, whatever makes you happy. But when I talk about the sun and I talk about therapy, I just talk about that feeling of that sun just coming right through the window and just making you feel alive.
Absolutely. And it's like, the cool thing about warm weather and stuff is it's a great excuse to kind of get together with friends, maybe people you haven't seen, and just kind of go out, because there's so many things you could do outside. I know a lot of women like to go to the beach, and men do too, but a lot of women like to go to the beach and go for walks. And ever since I had a kid, I love going for walks.
Oh, I saw that. I
Yeah.
love it. And it's so, like you said, it's so healthy, and it's so good to be out in nature, wherever that may be, whether
Yeah.
it's the city, the country, and we live in this world now where we can just jump in the car and drive, an hour away. And upstate New York is 2 hours away? Or, even I have friends in Wisconsin that they drive an hour just to a more secluded area, because Milwaukee is, more of a city. So they're going outside
Wow.
the towns, or the cities, I should say, and really enjoying life. And you know what? That's what we're about. That's what wellness is about,
Yep.
enjoying life. So
Yeah.
the week flew by. How was
Yeah.
your week?
Week went well. But let me say, just kind of on the topic of, us talking about getting together with friends in the warm weather and stuff. I know you and I were talking really before the show, and it's kind of what our topic is, right? We're talking about just, friends and people we kind of, yeah, I guess I'll just throw it out there. Denise, when do you know that it's time? When has a friendship run its course? Like, what's the expiration date on some kind of friendships?
I was actually thinking earlier, I thought, wow, this is really cool how we dialogue about, we are friends, so that
Yes.
our listeners knows. We obviously have been friends for quite some time, and when we have conversations, it's really cool how we will be talking about what's going on in our lives, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh my gosh, this is such a great topic for
Yep.
other people, because if we struggle or if we question, we know that you guys must have the same things. So when I more give than take.
So that's the red flag, when there's more give than take.
Yes. So if you are the person who's calling all the time, if you are the person who's making the plans, and that's just one thing, that's your energy that you're putting into someone that doesn't seem like they're into that friendship anymore. Maybe things are going on. So I always say, you know what? It's a red flag, but give the benefit of the doubt. And if it's a friend, you can ask them, is everything okay? What's going on? So there's always a fine line there. And then the other thing is a completely different category. And I look at it like this. I look at it as you're either outgrowing your friends or you're literally divorcing your current friends.
Wow.
Or your friends from the past, whatever that may be. So in the outgrowing category, that would be your interests have changed. Your goals have changed. They might want to go to the bar and maybe you don't. Maybe, like, I'm a woman, so let's face it, there are, some women that like to serial date, and maybe their morals aren't the same. And I don't mean in terms of just sex. I mean going out for free dinners and looking at it like it's funny. And to me, I'm like, I don't want to be associated
and
with
here's
that.
the thing. There's to me, I think, like, as long as you're not hurting anyone, right? So, like, if these girls or men are going out and they're just, serial dating, like, if it's working for you, if that's what makes you happy, then, I would say, go for it. But to jump back to your point of
Thank you for that. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, but I'm like, thank you for making it known that I don't judge.
No, yeah,
but
yeah.
everybody's different. It's what's going to bring you peace. So
Yes.
go ahead, Rob. I'm
Definitely.
so sorry
Yeah,
for that.
no. So, see, the reason why I think some people hold on to friendships for so long, I mean, there's a few reasons, right? There's guilt, and that's something that I'm going to talk about, a personal experience that I've had with one of my friendships. I'll talk about that briefly in a bit, but you know, anytime when I meet someone or I meet friends or I have family, uncles, and they're like, "Oh, we've been friends for 40 years. We were childhood friends. We grew up next to each other and they're still friends." I get kind of jealous of that. So, I don't want to be that person like looking at my friends and realizing like, wow, I really change groups every 2 to 3 years or every 5 years, and there's nothing wrong with that if it happens. But for me, I do get a little jealous when people have been friends for 40 years because I only have a handful of people in my life that are really like that, and it's mostly like cousins or I might have one or two friends, but other than that, I don't have a big group that we've been friends since elementary school, and I envy that. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And this is where we can even slide into it, just kind of pull one quick other topic in there for just a quick little blurb is be careful with comparing your life. And I do agree with you with the envy because possibly, that's a connection that has been very long term. But, you have to remember something with long term friends because I am one of those persons. And we all know now that Rob is very jealous of me.
It's true.
But with the long term friendships, I will say this. We are long term friends. We have not, though, over the past 40 plus years, been in each other's lives all the time. But to your point, it is a very rare and wonderful relationship. And I could see where a person outside could envy because, for example, when my dad died, everybody was there for me. For example, I have other friends where things have happened in their life where you can share your joys, you can share your griefs, and those people will drop everything in a dime. As a matter of fact, I have a friend that from high school, she just eloped. And all my high school friends are listening, but she told me first because she knows I keep the best secrets. But it was just so happy, and I'm so happy for her. And we've been through the ups and downs, and I can understand what you're saying because I have been down on myself at certain times.
Yep.
And where I've had friendships only last a couple years, and I felt like, whoa, this makes me sad. But now I've grown to understand why those friendships had to end. And I'm thankful that they did. So what do you think about that? And do you think it could be the environment that you grow up in?
Listen, I think it's, I firmly believe that you are who you hang with. You are who you surround yourself with. And, I think as we grow, as we evolve, I think it makes sense that you would outgrow certain friendships. I'm just going to give you a quick example, and I don't want to dodge your question, but I want to make sure I give this personal example. I had a friend, I still have him as a friend. We've been friends like since middle school. We've gone a couple years without speaking, and then we get back, and then we go back, and I think he has not been able to fully make a good life for himself. That's just, maybe that's me judging. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. I do judge others to an extent, not in a way where it tears down their character, but I judge people based on like, is this someone I want to surround myself with? Is this someone I want to invest my time in? If I'm married, but if I was dating, you better believe I would be judging the hell out of these women. Like what's your credit score? Why don't you have a career yet? Why don't you have this?
I do.
Right? You need to have these standards. So anyway, I think I've kind of stretched out this friendship with this guy that I've been like on and off friends with for like 20, 25 years. I almost have like survivor's guilt. Like I've made it through the troubles I've gone through, and I've made it through a lot of the crap that him and I went through, and I've made a pretty good life for myself. And maybe he thinks he's made a good life for himself. I'm not sure. I can't imagine he does, but I don't know. But like, I almost do it out of guilt. And I've had a mutual friend say, "Why are you still holding on to this friendship? Like, you guys are two completely different people now. You guys have zero in common, and you don't even really like the guy anymore." I'm like, "You're right."
It's interesting how outsiders see things differently
Oh
than
my God.
us. And I definitely can relate to
when
holding
we're in the
on to
eye of the
things.
storm, we can't see what's going on around us. Like in the eye of the storm, it's calm. It's outside, so.
Well, with guilt, we don't want to see that because what happens when we start to see it, we start to feel worse. But here is the thing with that is that, you have to sometimes feel worse in order to be better. The detachment is definitely hard. It's no different than a breakup. Like breaking up with your friends, divorcing your friends is no different than divorcing a mate or a partner, a husband or wife. Like this is part of life. And I like what you said about you have to step back. We live in a world where people judge, but it's okay. What I'm saying is it is okay to take a look at someone's life and ask yourself, does this person fit in my life? And what is
Yeah.
it that they are? Are they healthy for me?
Yeah.
Are they healthy for me?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And here's the thing, like, when it comes to friends, I truly believe you are who you hang with. And I know when I was like in my mid 20s, right? I had this weird epiphany that I think a lot of people in their 20s go through. And I'm like, where am I going with my life? I was in a relationship, but no kids, I was just kind of dating, and I'm like, you know what? I want to be a family man. I want to have a career. I would like to own a home one day. These are all things that I would like. I want to be a better person. I want to have better character. So I started surrounding myself with men that had those attributes. And luckily I had a commonality with a lot of men like that, is we all rode Harleys. So given that we all rode Harleys, I was able to kind of work myself into a group of really good men, and they were able to kind of take me on as kind of like, I don't want to say a project, but they were able, because I was a friend to them, but they were able to take me on, and it just felt great. It felt really good, and now I take on others. So even if you are a complete hot mess, I'm fine with having one or two hot messes in my circle. What's important, though, is there's power in numbers. So I need to make sure my friend group is not outnumbered by hot messes. I need to make sure that the majority are good, upstanding men.
Hallelujah.
Does that
I'm
make
literally
sense?
like I'm shaking my head, and
Yeah,
I literally
yeah.
want to jump up and be like, amen, because you know what's the old saying, birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
Okay, and it is so true for our listeners that are in their 20s. Friends can be mentors. Do not step back and say, oh my God, this person's in their 40s. I really don't want to be friends with them.
Oh, no, yeah.
Okay, because there are things that they experience that if they can help you grow, and also too, you're being a great friend to them. I mean, I have younger friends and I love their energy. They bring so much to me. It's give and take, and it is just incredible. And one other thing I want to add to the friendship category is that sometimes in life there can be just a wonderful person that you meet, or even as life goes on, it could be a long-term friend. But sadly, who they have chosen to surround themselves with, or who maybe they are attached to in relationship, marriage, whatever the case may be, or even family members, you have to think about terminating. I hate that word, but I have to say it. You may have to distance yourself from them or step away from that, because remember, you see good in that person, and yes, but sadly, if there are people around them that are not good, that can impact you.
Well, and that
right,
might
wrong
be,
place, wrong time.
That might be you, though. How do you know if you have people backing away from you?
Absolutely. And that's the thing. That's why I want to point that out and make awareness to that, because I don't want people to feel bad when somebody steps away from them or a friendship is terminated. Like, let's say I've had people in my life that, let's just say that they look at me and say, okay, ooh, like in the past, I'll give this very churchy. Okay. Yep. And I'm talking high school. And there were people in high school that were like, okay, I know they thought I was weird. I know you all are listening. I know you did. And that's okay. That is okay, because I hate to break to you, I was kind of weird. But you know what? And it was because of my environment and because I knew no different. But as I grew up and got into the world, I evolved. And those high school friends, even though we were all always cordial, some of them have now become my best of friends.
Yeah.
And they still think I'm weird, of course, because weird is good. But, it's like an evolving is what I'm saying. And then going back to not understanding, like where I'm saying, how do you know? Just don't feel bad. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, when it comes to high school friends, I've done all the same. I've reconnected, I've disconnected. And what's crazy is, these high school years are so impactful on us that I'll have someone from like my middle school or high school years that'll kind of come in my life a little bit. And let me tell you something. If I've had a resentment against you since middle school, I still think you're a complete a-hole now as an adult. You know what I mean? And that's something that I need to check, because let me tell you something. I have been a jerk at plenty of different phases of my life. I'm still a work in progress. So if everyone judged me on that time period where I was a jerk, then I would be like, yo, give me a second, give me another chance, man. I've grown, you know. Let me introduce you to the new me.
Absolutely, people change, but I'm like, you never, because I was
know.
laughing. I'm like, and this is why the coffee from Candlewood Coffee for Rob is called Robbie's Roast, because let me tell you, he is really good at roasting me sometimes, and that's awesome. Like sometimes I need a good roasting. That's not a bad thing, but
Yeah.
it's how you do it. Like what you're saying is, it's done in love, or it's done just because you're a complete jerk.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, there's a big difference.
And
definitely.
one other thing that I wanted to point out, right? Sometimes people come in our lives for a season, for a reason. Okay?
Absolutely.
Sometimes they come in our lives for a season, for a reason. And for whatever reason, sometimes they come and they go, and we try to hold on to these, or we try to stretch them out a little bit, because we learned so much in that short period of time that we've known them. And sometimes it's not meant to be like that. Sometimes God puts certain individuals in our lives to teach us something, or to teach me something, and then poof, they're gone.
Yeah,
And sometimes
definitely.
I gotta let go. And you know, when I look, you know, I believe that I am the sum of everyone that I've ever met in my life. You know what I
Let
mean?
go and learn, right?
Yeah.
That's what she's saying. Let go and learn, and we are a sum of everyone. To your point, like people do come into our lives for a season, for a reason, and
You like that, right? Isn't that
I
awesome?
love
Isn't that great? Yeah.
And we have to know, to your point, when is it time to let go? And I really do believe that our intuition tells us, but it is the feeling of guilt or shame or fear, or just some people just don't want to let go of the past. And I do look at people who have not changed from childhood or high school, and they have not let go because of their whole being of not wanting to change, because change is scary, right?
Yeah.
They're comfortable in that environment. And so when I had left some of my friendships, and it wasn't, I just went into a relationship, and I enjoyed that relationship in terms of family and time, and you lose touch with people and things happen. But when I came out of that relationship, I went back into that world of friendships thinking a lot of those friendships would be the same. And they were the same, but I wasn't the same.
Wow.
And this is where I'm saying your
Wow.
intuition and who you are. I tried to connect those relationships, and they're wonderful people, and
Yeah.
I wish them the best, but they are not my people anymore.
Yeah.
And it hurt me to let go. And it's interesting because the person that I was with at the time told me, you know, those people, I don't know if they were really good for you. And you know, there were certain things that were said that, of course, at the time I was quite defensive, like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't know. You're just
Well-
trying to terminate my friendship, you know, all kinds
Yeah.
of things. And now I'm like, wow, you know what? I give credit to that, because credit where credit is due, because I did terminate those relationships. Again, wonderful people. Doesn't mean that because you leave a friendship, they're a horrible person. I'm just not the same.
These grow apart.
And I'm great with that. I'm happy I'm not the same.
Yeah.
I'm happy I'm not doing those things. I'm happy I'm not that person
And
anymore.
thank you so much for saying that, because before, and we're almost out of time, but before we wrap up, you know, if anyone ever says to you, you know, like, you've changed, you know, I want to say thank you, because we are not meant to stay the same. We are meant to be continuously evolving, continuously growing. So hopefully I haven't changed in the wrong way. They might think they have, you know, but that could just be because maybe they used to treat me like crap and walk all over me, and now I found my own voice.
You
So
know,
yeah, I have changed. Thank you for the compliment.
I just read that the other day.
Did you?
I just read that the other day. It said people will always be unhappy when they can no longer violate your boundaries, or when they tell you you've changed because they don't like that they can't get what they want, or maybe
Wow.
they're Or maybe they're, you know what, like maybe they're just, again, getting something out of you. Because again, going back to how do we know when to get rid of a friendship, or when it's time to divorce, or when we've outgrown and we just
Yeah.
have to go our way.
Yeah.
And I want to clarify, do not be nasty about it. Like, hey, I don't want to see you anymore. You know, there's a way, you know, it's how you say it, what you say, or just, I do believe you can just slowly eliminate yourself from people's lives. But again, how do you know? We'll just go over the terms before we close again, which is just knowing by your intuition, your lifestyle, your mental health.
Yeah.
Mental health, right, Rob? Like,
Absolutely.
are they toxic? Are they not bringing you peace? Are they causing you more drama? And huge one is they are taking too much, and there's no balance anymore. Because friendship should be just, it's family. It's the family you choose, and it should always be balanced.
Well said, well said. And before we wrap up, I just want to give a big shout out to Candlewood Coffee for, sponsoring our coffee and tea venture, which is just totally random, because when Coffee Meets Tea, we were already a podcast before we got the coffee and tea. But if you want to get Robbie's Roast or Denise's Upbeat Positivity, feel free to hit us up on Instagram and go to our link tree, and you could get the link right there and how to order it and get it shipped to your house.
I love it. I love it.
I know.
And, it's just grab your tasty beverage. I love saying that. I do. And I always laugh because I feel like I use my old Connecticut school broadcasting voice. I'm like, grab your tasty beverage.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys, for tuning in again. Don't forget to check us out on Spotify, iTunes, Instagram, all that good stuff. And thank you again for listening, because without you guys, there would be no podcast. So
thank you.
Yeah. And with that being said, I'm Rob Gerard.
I'm Denise Bertolovitz.
Have a good one.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. You can check out other episodes of our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else podcasts are streamed. Find us on Instagram at When Coffee Meets Tea Podcast, or www.whencoffeemeetstea.com. Rob and Denise want to thank the listeners.